everybody, it's Ollie from Games Alike, and today we are doing games that are just like Stardew Valley. Now, when I finished Stardew Valley, or by finish, I got to like the 80% in the game, it left a massive void. This is the games I use to fill the void. Without too much talking, let's just jump right in, and I will say that the first one is quite triggering, but just hold on through it. So the first one is Minecraft, but it's not just Minecraft, it's Minecraft with the Farming Valley mod pack. Basically, it's Minecraft, but then it's Stardew. It basically adds the ability to build relationships, grow crops in a very similar way, raise animals, and rebuild a town. You have ways to earn money, unlock shops, interact with NPCs, that kind of feel. So if you enjoy Minecraft and Stardew, it just basically marries the two together, and it's definitely worth trying. Littlewood. Now, Littlewood has a very similar kind of game mechanics, but it's more of a cozy version of Stardew. It doesn't have the mines, it doesn't have things like that, but you wouldn't feel alien playing this after Stardew. It has things like farming, fishing, crafting, building relationships, and expanding the town with cool puzzles and different storylines. Coral Island. Coral Island is probably one of the closest things to Stardew. We do have some closer things, but this is definitely one of the things which you wouldn't be alien. Now, the graphic style is completely different, but you basically land on a tropical island, you grow crops, you raise animals, build relationships, and basically you have to restore the local community. There's also added features like ocean cleanup, you can dive in it, and there's quite a lot of storytelling. The world's also much bigger than Stardew, and it's just a great game to play and just enjoy. Traveller's Rest. Well, Traveller's Rest is literally Stardew, but instead of farming, you run a tavern. The graphic gameplay is very similar. It definitely has that same kind of addictive feel. You brew drinks, you cook food, you basically have to design your inn and serve customers and grow your kind of business by using the local community and completing missions and progression in that way. It's a little bit different, but it has the same kind of management feel that Stardew has that is so great. Animal Crossing's New Horizon. Now, if you follow Stardew, you will know that it was kind of based on Animal Crossing, or at least there was some inspiration taken there. Animal Crossing is basically a very relaxed, chilled Stardew Valley. It's a lot slower, it's a lot more like kind of like pondering around, but there is still kind of key features like decorating your home, farming, planting trees, fishing, catching bugs to eat, and you build like relationships with your villagers in a very similar way, but it's very no pressure. There's not really any way to fail. There's kind of like take your own kind of time. It's nowhere near as kind of like, oh, I haven't planted something, I've got to wait a year. Like, it's not that kind of game at all, which is quite nice if you just want to kind of relax at the end of the day. Sunhaven. As you can see from the gameplay, it is very inspired by Stardew Valley. There are still all the great kind of elements of combat and exploration, and the map's absolutely amazing. You still have to build relationships and explore and kind of have that kind of mystery. The best way to kind of explain it, it's almost like if Stardew met RPG. It has quite a lot of customizability, and there's lots of things like magic, and there's a lot more fantasy that enters this world. You can cast spells, fight monsters, and explore different kind of regions that are all magical in different ways. Graveyard Keeper. Now, don't let the name kind of put you off, because you kind of like, at least when I saw this, I was like, there's no way. Like, there's no way it's going to be a good game, but it had amazing reviews, so I gave it a go. It is literally a Stardew, but it's darker, it's more gritty. You kind of have the same principles in a weird way, but your job is to manage a graveyard. You're handling bodies, you're crafting items to make it more easy. You're having to deal with like a lot of moral questions, like, and different decisions that kind of change the whole impact of the game. There's still a lot of gathering, there's a lot of kind of exploration. It's very different, it's not as light, it's definitely not as cozy, but the kind of like addiction kind of gameplay mechanics are still very much a focus of this game. The story is really good, the scripts are really well written, like it is definitely worth playing. Core Keeper. Core Keeper is like Stardew Valley but underground. You explore these massive cave systems, you mine for resources in a very similar way, you farm crops, you build bases, and you fight big mega bosses. It's a little more survival based, like it's a little more kind of like you're trying to survive in this kind of world. I'd probably say the best way to explain it is kind of like in Stardew if you lived in the mines and you had to make your base in the mines. That's kind of the feel. The graphics are very similar. You wouldn't have to spend a lot of time like kind of going, how do I do this? You would fall definitely into place. And I personally love the graphics, and I love the different elements and the different explorations of cave systems, and when you kind of like get into it and you see the magic and the different bosses and the different like styles and bases you can build. Dave the Diver. Now, you might have actually seen this. This is a mega popular game, and from the kind of name or from the looking of it, you'd go, what does this have to do with Stardew? But it's probably one of the games that I've been most addicted to in the same way. Now, the graphics aren't the same and the principles don't feel the same, but it is basically the same kind of system of gathering, upgrading, expanding that Stardew has. By day, you explore the ocean, you kind of catch fish. By night, you have to run a sushi restaurant, which again sounds weird to hear, but actually playing it's really peaceful, but it's like also kind of keeps you on your edge. It also makes you kind of want to jump on and go, hey, what happens in the next bit? Where can I get this from? What's going to happen when I do this? It's a lot of fun, and you can definitely see why this is one of the best reviewed and most downloaded games on Steam. Palia. Palia is very similar to Stardew, but it's in an online world. You do all the same kind of stuff after that. There isn't no combat, and there is a lot less pressure, but it is cozy. It's more Simsy in a way of building, not really in graphics, but in how it makes you feel. But the multiplayer aspect is absolutely amazing, and it's probably one of my favorite games on this list, especially if you have a friend to play it with. Terraria. Now, this game has been out for absolute ages. I've played multiple versions of this game, and even though the graphic style is very different, for me, it was one of the first games that I went and like, hey, I'm going to revisit this and dive deeper into it after Stardew. It's a lot more chaotic, it's a lot more action heavy, it's a lot more unlockables. Like, if you look at kind of like how long it takes you to get to the top level in Stardew, this takes far longer. There's far more unlockables. You're always finding out new things. You're always having to go deeper and explore more things that are even more crazy. The NPC system is good, but I connected more with the characters in Stardew, and I feel like there's not many games that I've had that kind of same kind of character connection. But the boss battles, the combat, and the progression in this game is extremely addictive, and it really does capture that Stardew, I want to play this every day kind of vibes. Fields of Mistria. Now, this is where a lot of people go after playing Stardew. It's probably one of the most recommended games for kind of like jump in and fill in that void straight after. It's very old school. It has the same kind of Stardew energy. The only probably issue for me is it might be too similar in a way. Like, it is very similar. And if you're kind of like got a little bit bored of Stardew, it is literally like Stardew, but just kind of like under a different makeup. You still farm, you still mine resources, you build relationships, and you kind of rebuild this community. It's very focused on the kind of character building and that kind of loop of trying to kind of please people and build up their emotions. My Time at Sandrock. Now, this shifts more from the farming kind of element to the crafting element. Your job here is to kind of rebuild a desert town. You're trying to create machines, you're trying to gather resources in a place that doesn't have many, and you're trying to rebuild and grow a community. There is still farming and relationships, but this game more leans on the kind of how we're going to build this, what are we going to need to get this part, that part, and how we're going to kind of progress in them ways. It's kind of Stardew, but it's more industrial and a complete different kind of graphic style. But it is definitely easy to jump over to this game if you've just stopped playing. Spiritfarer. Now, this is probably the best game on this list. It's one of my favorite games for that kind of emotional aspect of Stardew Valley. There is different kind of like stories that you build, you learn different characters, you get that emotional connection. In this, you do fish, you farm, you craft, and you do all that kind of managing and building of your own boat instead of farm. But it's kind of weird. It doesn't really make sense when you say it like that, but legitimately it is so similar to Stardew in the kind of way you expand. The relationships, very similar mechanics. You complete their requests, you help them kind of move on, you help expand, and you gain like love from them. It's very cozy, it's very predictable, but it has a strong focus on story, and it's quite emotional in the fact that characters come and go and leave, as opposed to in Stardew where everybody kind of stays the same age, everybody stays the same. This game, people do go, people do leave, but it's really a great playthrough, and I highly recommend it. Now, this isn't one that's on the list, this isn't really going to get its own number, but you can go and mod Stardew Valley, and I highly recommend it. If you've completed Stardew, you can get a plethora, like there's so many, especially if you're on the PC, well, really only if you're on the PC or Mac versions. You can basically mod and you can expand with new characters, events, storylines, maps, just about everything. And I really highly recommend going down the mods. If you want me to do a video just based on Stardew Valley mods, I can, and I can show you some of the ones I've got installed. It is definitely something that I'd recommend doing though, because I thought it was going to be like, this isn't going to really change the game that much, but obviously some of these mods have so many downloads, they've expanded to the point where they've got their own stories, they've got deeper character progression. One of the mods that I play the most, it made me feel like I was playing Stardew, but from brand new. So I definitely recommend looking at mods if you genuinely just want to stay with Stardew and you don't want to move on. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please leave a like and let me know which of the games is your favorite.